Today we're gonna go to a blast in the past. Have you ever heard of Runescape? Probably. Have you ever heard of Fun Orb? Maybe not. Have you ever heard of Armies of Gielinor? I remember as a kid, this game was tough. I was not very good at strategy games back then. I was only okay. I had just begun playing Fire Emblem. I had just begun playing Age of Empires. I was not very good. But did you know, back in the day, the RuneScape creators, JaGeX, created Armies of Gielinor on funorb.com, a turn-based strategy game in the vein of Advance Wars. This is that game, and I love it so much. Don't ask me how I'm playing this. Just enjoy. This is a blast from the past. This is a game you probably never heard of. We have... Actually, I'm just going to enter the single player. We have Follow the God Wars in the Third Age as Zamorak, Saradomin, and finally Guthix fight for control over the world of Gielinor. I love how this game has a branching optional choice campaign. I want to make a video about this type of thing, but basically how it works is that you're given a couple missions, and every mission unlocks something. And then you have more choices about missions that unlock more things, and then they unlock more things, and you unlock stronger and stronger things as you go, but each mission gets harder and harder. But then you get to a point where if a mission is too hard or you don't have the tools required, you can play a different mission, get those unlocks, and then come back around to an earlier mission and play that. Like, say, for instance, I was trying to do this mission here and I just was having a really hard time, couldn't really figure it out. Then I can come over here and do this, or something like this. And then I will come back, do this mission with the upgrades. The mission itself doesn't scale up to the later level of the campaign that I've been at. The mission stays the same. I get more powerful, so I am able to rise to the challenge of the mission. The important thing is that the mission be balanced on the high end of beatable with what you have when you first unlock it. So that way, as you get more stuff, it becomes easier, but it doesn't become a total walkover. That's the idea. But I've talked about it being similar to Advance Wars. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it some more. I've not tried this mission yet. Let's play it. So, as you can see, we are fighting against the red team. We are the blue team. Green team, rather. Okay, so they have falcons, which have very high range. They're flying Grenwalls, which are very weak and very slow. Okay, they have some elves here. These ones are on guard, so they won't move unless I get into range of them. Okay, doesn't seem to be too bad. Deals bonus damage with melee attacks. Sure. Sure. Yeah. And then I have... What is this? Carrying a flag is able to capture a single structure. I love that the campaign gives you these little things of like, hey, here's this little thing you can do with one random unit that you have access to that's different than what you otherwise would. Use it wisely, and I think I will. I think wisely I will. So, Advance Wars style, you have towns or villages here that earn you mana, basically money, as you hold them. You have portals, basically factories to produce units. Interesting thing for this one, for balancing reasons, you only have a certain level of influence, and you can make units of that level of influence or lower. But you need to make a unit that is of equal level to your influence in order to gain the next level of influence. And you have this, if you were playing multiplayer, you'd have different gods that you have influence with, and you would need to level them all up to gain access to their stuff. Neutral, you just have equal influence, influence equal to whatever the highest level god's influence is as your neutral influence. Neutral is where you get barbarians, which are basically like infantry. They can capture locations. stuff like that. So, for instance, I want to get one of these, but looks like I have some druids already, so I will get a wolf to raise my influence with Gothics, 1 tier, and then I will get a barbarian because I want to start capturing these towers to get myself some money. I'm going to fly out up here. And I'm going to leave this video as members only for a bit, but if I want to, I might bring this out as a bonus video for non-channel members. But again, thank you all so much for watching. I just wanted an excuse to play this game and share it, because I've been playing it. So here's the deal. Funorb.com, for those not in the know, became defunct long ago. Funorb became defunct long ago. It was very sad when that happened. The games were all taken offline. They were all Java-based applets hosted on the web server. They disappeared. What then happened was that apparently at some form in time, someone took a local, like, download or scraping or whatever of some of the games at some point in time before everything went down. Not everything. Not all the latest versions of them. Not all that type of stuff. There's very limited in what they actually have. But they have some of that available. And they made that available to the public through Dropbox. Now, this was a several-year-old Reddit thread that I had to find. I had to comb through in order to find to get access to this, and I double-checked it, scanned it, you know, verified it as much as I could just to make sure it wasn't, you know, wasn't just gonna try to be problematic on me or anything. But it all checked out, everything was good, everything was clean, and it's been running great. As you can, if you are familiar with what I've done on the channel, I love games like this. It's very similar to the Age of Empires DS game, which I played a lot of. So I wanted to kind of give a shout out towards that as well. But I just love games like this, and so I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it, I'm going to have fun. I think I'm going to deploy my dwarf cannon here. It's a little bit of a waste, but I just want to be able to destroy as many of these as I can. Because they're blocking me, but I do need to take out the flyers, because flyers have really good damage against skirmish units here and warrior units, which I guess I have some of them. But warrior and skirmisher units can't attack, like non-ranged units can't hit flyers unless they themselves are flying or have an ability that lets them do that. So I need to be quite careful with how I proceed in order to make sure I go forward in the best possible way. Now, I'm actually going to go over here. That'll buff, if my druid survives, that will buff up the units that are next to it. And if it doesn't survive, then oh well. Enemy loves to target druids for some reason, target helper type units. Very high priority. Yeah. Yeah, I love turn-based strategy games. I love games like this. There are some other games that I wanted to play and talk about on the channel, but since my channel is going in a different direction, no one really watches Let's Plays anymore, or at least viewership is way down. Turning your channel into a Let's Play channel in this day and age basically is saying, hey, I'm withdrawing from interesting content space and turning my viewership into just a somewhat passive income content mill. People can make Let's Plays interesting, not saying there aren't interesting Let's Plays in existence, but I find that that tends to be more or less the case when it comes to that. I think here's a better place to deploy the dwarf cannon. And we'll shoot down the flyer. You're going to move here. You're going to move out of the way. Shoot down that flyer. And then I can We'll come over here, get out ahead, because I really want to get to that portal with the flag before the barbarian lands on it. Okay, this does mean my cannons are basically useless now, which is unfortunate. But such is life sometimes. I'm just going to play through. I'm just going to play this level and talk about it. Talk about some of my thoughts and feelings on it, because I love it. Oh, if you heard that ding, that was my computer saying that the conversion was complete for the video I was just working on. So I will close that down. Get started on uploading that. While I wait between turns. Because this is one of those things, this is one of those games where you have a lot of downtime between your turns. So you might as well kind of make the most of it. Play the turn, do something else. Play a turn, do something else. Ah, looks like the archer got to my flyer. It is quite unfortunate indeed. I can set up outside his range. Yeah, best I can do there, because I want my flag bearer to take that portal, because I think that portal is better than the lower portal. To be in aggressive position. Lower portals basically, like, they are marching all their units through down south. Hopefully my cannons are going to be able to fire on them and stop them. What is that ability you have? Morale boosts allies within 2 tiles, making them equally effective against all unit classes in battle. No penalties. Ooh, that's actually pretty strong. So I can just land here, and the flag will take care of that. I can attack into the archer, but that's going to end poorly for me. I feel like I kind of have to. And if I throw my druids up, he'll probably try to attack the druids, because that's what the AI does. Okay, we have fighter, fighter, support, fighter, lots of fighters over here. So I need to level up. So for my level 2 options, I have Mounted Terror Bird, which is another skirmish, which is weak to fighters, but has a much higher movement. You have Void Knight, which is a pretty strong fighter, and a Blackguard Dwarf, which is a strong fighter, but cheaper, but also a lot less movement range. I like using the Blackguard Dwarf just because it allows me to get up to level 3 much faster, so I'm going to do that. While I'm doing that, I can begin to upload my video. To give you just a glimpse in time of when this is happening, I am uploading Office Hours Thieves right now. Way to date the video. So I'll start that upload process, and as that process begins, we will follow it up. Okay, yes, they did exactly what I thought. They killed my low HP druid. Something happened. Something definitely glitched here. Well, that's a problem. Instead of capturing the building, I became the building, which does not benefit me in any way. So now I can't use the portal, and I can't use my path sprinter. Hopefully it will fix itself come next turn, because that is very bad for me. Very bad indeed. Okay, so I have level 3, so I could get Barbarian Spearman, which is a ranged unit. Or I could save up to get another gnome copter. And I think I want the gnome copter because I'm about to fight some very strong warriors. Oh good, this barbarian's merged into the building as well. I don't know what's happened. But all the units that captured buildings that turn merged into the buildings they captured. I've never seen this happen before. This is very bad. Obviously, the game is not without its bugs and issues. Obviously. Not saying it's a perfect game. It is clearly not. But it's combination nostalgic for me, just in terms of what it is. But also, I think it's a very well-designed base of a strategy game. It's not perfect, definitely, but it's a very well-designed base. Okay, so this one is fine. Something happened with the flag over here. I don't like that it happened with the flag. Because that's kind of an important building to have. So I think I may need to just quit and restart. Yeah, I'm just gonna exit level because that is unplayable now. I've now lost. A winning plan became a losing plan solely because the game glitched out. But that's the first time that's happened. So that's good. Let's do a different fight. What's this King of the Hill? Oh, fighting a 99 strength flying dragon with 1 to 3 range. And 2 Flamekeeper fighters, which are on guard, that have 35 and 1 range. Interesting thing about this game, kind of like Advanced Wars, is that your HP is your combat strength. Lots of dwarves and lots of cannons. Okay. Your hit points is your combat strength. So, for instance, if I were to take damage, I would then deal less damage. Gives first strike a huge advantage. Gives extra impetus to those type advantages, because if you're a really strong unit, you can deal so much extra damage if you're high HP against things you have advantage over. If you have less HP, then you're crippled even more against the things you're effective against, because you then deal a lot less damage and shifts those matchups. So you're incentivized to deal chip damage. Something you may have seen but I didn't talk about is that if you kill a unit, you get 1 max HP. It's kind of like, hey, I killed a thing, I leveled up, I got stronger. You gain current and max. And then you only restore when you're either resting on an owned building, or if you're stopped for multiple turns, you will slowly regain HP as well if you do absolutely nothing. Is it a perfect system? No, there's probably a lot of issues with it. But I like the system, and I think the system is overly pretty well designed and has created some very fun interactions. And something else I wanted to talk about, which I talked about briefly, yeah, at the start of the video, but I can't understate how much I truly enjoy when this happens, is that very enjoyable making your own path through a campaign. I would love to see, for instance, a Fire Emblem game, or even just like a fan hack or something that did that took a campaign and said, hey, instead of having like, oh, it's a, like branching path choices, whatever, instead decided, hey, we're going to have, like, you have like A route, B route, and C route. And you can do them in any order, but all 3 of them need to be done before you reach the final. And instead of being like, oh, well, if you do A route first, then B route and C route get stronger, maybe they get a little stronger. But having that option, that opportunity of the missions to go to, because then it allows you to, like I said, not lock yourself in as much as a player, and instead say, hey, I want to do A route first, and then C route, and then B route, because I'm most worried about B route, or because I really want the reward that A route gives. And I think you do need to give some heads up ahead of time in order to make that work. Like, for instance, this game gives you a little bit of a warning as to what types of enemies will be fielded. Just one barbarian will be fine on that. I think I'll just bring the spearman forward. It gives you a bit of a heads up on what types of enemies will be fielded in a map, and it gives you more information in regards to... Okay, so there are forests there. I can't fire over forest or mountains. So if I want to fight with my cannons in a forward position, I'm going to need to bring them on or past the forests. Otherwise, I have to kind of rely on the enemy coming to me. And I'm not really sure I want to have to wait every time. I also like how my units, the Guthic's particular units, have better movement in forests compared to other units. Just that little bit of flavor that really helps make the units feel more unique and feel more like your own. So you need to be able to give them a heads up of what you're going to be fighting, or what and what rewards you're going to get. This game does it pretty well. A game that also does it really well is StarCraft 2. It's a real-time strategy game, but the StarCraft 2 campaign, you choose a mission, and it will give you a little bit of a thing of like, hey, here's what the mission is nominally about. It doesn't tell you everything that's going to happen on the mission, but it gives you a little bit of a heads up. It tells you, hey, watch out for this type of thing. That type of stuff. And then allows you to go on your way, play the mission, but crucially it tells you, here's the reward you're going to get for playing this mission. And I say that's crucial because that's something that, if I didn't have that information, I couldn't make an informed choice of which order to do things in. I want to bring those cannons up to fight the dragon, so I'm going to leave them back here for now and just force my way through with dwarves and gnome copters. I think I will bring another barbarian forward. And that's really critical, because then it's like, okay, well, you know what you're going to get. Like, say, if Fire Emblem were to... If you were to do this in a Fire Emblem situation, you would have to then say, okay, we can go to Ilia. There's a lot of Pegasus Knights there, but we can get, then, you know, the Lance Maltet. And we can... Like, I'll use Fire Emblem 6 as an example because it has the most clear route split, and saying, hey, what if you were to do them in any order? We go to Ilia, we'll fight a lot of Pegasus Knights, but we'll get the Lance Maltet, which will then be useful in Sakai against all the sword fighters and nomads there, to get whatever they call the bow. Not Ufel, not Lunasa. Yeah, whatever they call the bow in FE6. I've completely forgotten at this point in time. My brain is absorbed in this game right now. Or you could go to Sakai, get the bow, and then the bow is very helpful against the Pegasus Knights of Ilia. I think that if you told the player right away, heads up, here's the choice you have to make, gave them the information to make the choice, and then allowed them to make the choice in either order, the player could then determine, hey, I am better against these than against that. I should do this one first to then level up for the next one. Or vice versa, I want that option. It'll power me up more, power me up better. I'm going to do that one first before then coming back and doing this one. And whether that's a one-off mission or like a couple missions set has both been done. Like StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty was all one-off missions, but Heart of the Swarm was you chose what campaign route you were doing, or you chose which mission you were going into, and then that was like the mission set. You selected the mission you were going to, and then that became the mission set that you did for... Are these all cannons now? Yes. That became the mission set that you did like a 2 or 3 missions in a row before you then had the freedom to leave. I think the extra freedom is more important. Especially if you're going mission by mission, but I think doing mission blocks can work. I think that there's definitely room to have this or that splits, like what FE6 did specifically, of like, hey, you either go to Ilia or you go to Sakai, but you can't go to both. The other one will get auto-completed for you. I think that there's room for that as well, so long as that is like flagged ahead of time. But I think that being able to play both missions is certainly another valid tactic, and one that's not really been seen in Fire Emblem, but I think could be really cool because it's what other strategy games do and have done quite a bit, and in my mind, quite successfully. Okay, I don't particularly like where I'm at right now with these things, because they're just gonna march in and kill me. And I don't want to set up all my cannons because then they're blocking the pathway through. Kind of screwed myself a little bit here. It's fine. I'll just bring in more barbarians. So I like that sort of branching idea. It does need to be implemented well, because I could definitely see it being done poorly. Like, if we take, hey, it's Fire Emblem, you can choose to help Sakai, or you can choose to help Ilia, and then you're not told that you will be doing the other one after, and you're not told that... Okay, I'm not sure which one's best to deploy right now, but I'm going to deploy just one. See how that goes. Okay, that's a decent range. I want to move forward and I want to take these out, but I want to do so in a way where I don't make... Like, I want to get my cannons into the center before I attack with them, but I also want to... Oh, that dragon... I'm in range of that dragon now. I want to get my cannons out before I attack with them, but I also want to not just lose them. Anyway, I think it can be done poorly, and that's what I'm worried about in terms of Fire Emblem doing it poorly, because I could definitely see them doing, hey, we have to help Ilia, or we have to help Sakai. And then you think... Because here's why it shouldn't necessarily get tougher if you wait. Because the player might say, hey, I don't have the resources to beat a lot of strong flyers, so I'm going to go the ground path. And then you go the ground path, and then you're presented, hey, by the way, you didn't choose to fight the flyers. You didn't choose to fight the flyers. Now the flyers are even stronger, and it's like, well, congratulations. I now am double screwed because not only did I not have anything to fight the flyers before, but I definitely do not have the capability of fighting even stronger flyers now. And that's kind of my worry about if you were to just like make it strong. Like I know that there's worries on the other side too, where, oh well, if you don't make it stronger as you go, if it is always going to be that same difficulty, then you're not incentivized at all to... Actually, I'm going to snare this one. If it's always going to be the same difficulty every time, then you're completely unincentivized . No, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very hard path to walk, and I understand why there's hesitation, why people want to make it, oh, it needs to be stronger, because they're like, well, the world is growing even when you're not there, and we want the difficulty to keep increasing. We want everything to get harder and harder and harder. We don't want it to just suddenly get easier. And I get that mentality, but I disagree with it. Because this is the same mentality that brought us forced scaling. I despise forced universal... I despise global scaling with every fiber of my being as a gamer. I think it is a very bad system that hurts so much more than it helps, and fails spectacularly at the small things that it claims to be trying to help with. Yeah, I'm just going to fill this hallway with cannon. That's kind of what I have to do. And I think the system fails at what it's trying to do well, because ultimately what force scaling does is it says your leveling up makes you weaker, not stronger. And I don't know about you, but I hate when games tell me that because I've done something it's told me to do, I am now weaker. I am now less able to perform my goals because I did something the game told me to do, that the game wanted me to level up. But now because I leveled up, I'm now weaker. Congratulations. I hate it. Oh, but think about the extra challenge, now the extra rewards you're going to get. Yeah, the extra rewards, the higher level gear and whatnot, is just keeping me on that treadmill at pace. You know what also I like being able to do that scaling prevents me from doing? I like being able to go to a low level area and see just how strong I've gotten in comparison to how weak I was by beating up on the enemies that used to give me massive, massive issues. Scaling says I can't do that. That is not allowed. That is not something the game has decided it wants to let me do, so I'm not allowed to do that. I hate scaling in that way as well, when it says, I decide how you get to have fun. You don't get to decide how you play and have fun. And I get that there are some things that it definitely, like, I've been down this road before. I've been on the side of developer intent before, designer intent before. I get it. There are definitely benefits to designer intent. I also say there are definitely problems with designer intent, especially when you are going down the route of, hey, we want the player to be able to make choices. We want this to be about them. This to be about them growing and gaining power and all this type of stuff. And then suddenly, well, what your choices actually say is that the player will lose power by playing your game, and you've just not designed it well at all. It's like, congratulations, you've played yourself. You've screwed yourself. It's horrible. I don't like it. You should be ashamed of yourself. Speaking of playing yourself, they've blocked themselves at a choke point, and they can't attack flying units. This is why this game might not necessarily be well balanced. 6, 7. Like, he hasn't moved. A cannon here will be able to hit him. Lure him out. While I then walk around and steal these portals. Yeah, he just might not move. Enemy leader might just not move. And if that's the case, so much the better for me. Oh yeah, that was just a dumb decision. I've now wasted that gnome copter. And I'm not going to be able to take him down this round, so I should... Oh, I can't fully surround him either. Yeah, that was very dumb on my part. That's what I get for talking instead of playing. You're going to become a cannon. You are going to become a cannon. Okay, that's all my cannons now. Oh, have I walled myself in? I think it's probably very dumb now. Okay, well, I've allowed that guy out, which is also dumb of me. I'm just making smart decisions now. That's fine. I was very smart with my cannons. I was very smart with my flyers. I was very smart with just moving my barbarian forward for absolutely no reason. But we have the portal now. We can now spam gnome copters with no fear. One fear. Nothing can get out, which means I can't take that portal. Which means I just have to constantly sit a unit on it forever. Okay, well, time to lure out the dragon. And I'm going to have to kind of throw myself at it in waves and sacrifice myself. Oh, he's because he's maxed, he can't get any stronger. So even if he kills my units, he won't get stronger. I'm okay with that. Please come down and kill a cannon so I can get out of my house. Haha, there we go. Oh, one sec. Sorry about that, and we're back. Had to answer a phone call. We're gonna kill this dragon, and then we're gonna wrap this up. I just wanted to say thank you to all my channel members, and then give a little bit of a talking point of, hey, this is fun, right? And I just moved right where I shouldn't have. This is fun, right? We like playing games, we like enjoying the games we play. A lot of fun stuff. And I think being able to have that fun and enjoy it, being able to enjoy fun things is great. I was talking about the difficulty and the problems that come when you try to make things harder. Oh, it needs to be harder following up. I think that can be an option, and maybe if you wanted to... Oh, did he just attack twice in one turn? Maybe he has an ability where he can attack multiple times. I think if you wanted to design an option into the game of, hey, you have the option to... You have the option to make things make paths that you don't choose more difficult. I think that's a perfectly valid, perfectly acceptable campaign option to include. I do not believe that that should be considered default or standard. That sounds like something that should be more of a deliberate challenge mode type of thing. Okay, let's capture this. I am just going to park myself around the dragon here right now because I want to make sure that I capture the portal and that he doesn't fly away at me. Because again, there's something inherently fun, there's something intrinsically fun about getting stronger. There's something intrinsically fun about getting stronger and being able to feel stronger. Not just get stronger, but feel stronger as well. And that's something that I feel like a lot of games have lost in this modern day of global scaling, where everything's going to be like, oh, well, I have to be... Okay, we're at the point I'm not getting one shot anymore. Or at the point where every game tries to say, well, every experience has to be interesting, has to be exciting, has to be engaging. And it's not engaging if you're not, like, having to struggle. If it's not a life or death situation, it's not engaging. And I used to think that a little bit as a young Dungeons and Dragons, as a young DM, I would try to build my encounters in such a way so that every encounter was engaging, every encounter was difficult, every encounter has struggles, all these different things. I would build these encounters that I wanted every encounter to be someone where, it wasn't wasted, there's chances of death, and all this type of stuff. Like, it has to be logical, but it has to be threatening. And while I think there's definitely value in that sometimes, I don't think it's the way that everything has to be. And I think we can see by the success of games like Monster Hunter that there can be a ton of value in giving players the opportunity to do things easier. Monster Hunter is huge in this. Monster Hunter is like the prime example of, if this is too hard, do something else first and come back later. Because if you fight a big fire dragon and you only have basic equipment, it's gonna suck. But if you go over and fight that frost worm and then build frost weapons, the frost weapons are gonna be effective against the fire dragon. And then you can do that. Or you just fight up a chain of other monsters and just get higher level equipment. And then that higher level equipment is gonna come back and be the bludgeon that smashes the ant that is now the fire dragon. Or you can take all that equipment off and just go mano a mano with a basic bone stick and poke the dragon's eye out with just your skill, no armor, no skills, no fancy weapons, no benefits, no nothing, to prove that you're a quote real gamer. Monster Hunter allows you to do all of that, and it's all your choice, and the game is balanced around making every monster slightly stronger than the next, but all of them within a similar band of strength, or at least rough bands of, like, the 1-star monsters are here, then the 2-star monsters, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, the hard 6-star monsters, the hard 7-star monsters, the master rank 8-star monsters, all those different things. Those bands are roughly similar to each other, and then you have those options enabled for you to take the game kind of at your own pace. There is a critical path of do this, then do this, then do this, but if you do the side stuff around it, you won't necessarily get directly stronger. That's a problem that stuff like Xenoblade has, where you want to do the side quests when they unlock, because you can follow the story at the right tempo and the right pacing, and do the side quests that are challenging for you, but then the main story quest you walk over. In this, while you do the side quests, it doesn't power you up so much beyond the main story. You have to do the main story to get stronger. Like, directly numerically stronger, but you can do the side quests and unlock options that let you overcome the main story easier or in different ways. And I like that design. So what I'm saying is that Monster Hunter has great design, Wings of Liberty has pretty good design, StarCraft 2 has pretty good design, Wings of Liberty, great. Armies of Gielinor has weirdly good design when it doesn't glitch and break out. And I want more strategy games to have that, to attempt that more branching mission style, do what you want in what order you want, and that is a core part of the overall strategy. I think that there's a big problem nowadays in which people are creating strategy games that have to be completed as the designer intends in a very linear fashion that then limits creativity. But then they try to say, oh, but you can use whatever units you want, you can do whatever you want. Hey, look at how much breadth and how many options we have. But then every unit just kind of ends up feeling the same or very similar or like shadows of different types, and that's about it. Give me more options in the path that I take through the game, and that will allow my different units to shine in different ways. Don't force me down one path and say all units are equally viable, because that makes all units feel like they're the same. This rant has been brought to you by Mithril Zenith and Armies of Gielinor. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. This is Mithril Zenith signing out.